Hi, I'm Bob Schmidt with Home Remodel Workshop. Measure twice, cut once. That's pretty much the only tip I've ever heard out there for how to get accurate measurements. There are many other practical tips out there. I'll show you what they are. Let's get to work. Very important thing is to have the proper tape measure to use. There are many different available out there. This one here is a self-centering tape measure. This one here has an engineer's scale on it. This one here is in metric and standard. This one here is a fractional tape measure. This one here is a typical wood rule, and this is just a standard US inch and feet tape measure. An engineer's tape, not only does it have feet and inches, but for some reason it has tenths of feet. For typical homeowner remodeling, you're not going to need this tape. A fractional tape, although it does have inches and feet marks on it, these little extra numbers down here that tell you exactly where a ½ inch and everything is, that makes this tape a little bit more confusing to read. Again, another tape I wouldn't purchase. A metric standard combination tape, it doesn't have the feet marks on it, and it has the metric numbers down here on the bottom and the inches up here on the top. I did purchase this tape because I do have a set of cabinets that were ordered from China, which are all done in metric, so I will make use of this tape. But this is a specialty use tape, and I'll probably only use it once. This tape here is a self-centering, and it's also a fractional tape. It has the fractions marked up here on the top. It doesn't have the feet marks. It has it marked at 24 inches. And then on the bottom, it'll give you what's half of the 24 inches. A tape like this, I would never purchase because there is way too much stuff on here. When you put this up on the wall and you go to read it, it is going to be far too confusing. A standard wood rule with standard measurements, as you can see, it's simply marked. There is no feet marks. It's marked at 24, but everything else is a real simple, easy to read scale. This is my tape that I use on a daily basis. It has feet marks and inch marks on it. All the fractions are clearly marked with easy to read up and bottom lines, and there's not all that additional writing and confusion in the tape. Now, every tape measure you buy is going to have an end on it that's pop riveted on generally. And what happens is they allow some looseness in this so that when you're hooking over a piece of lumber and you pull down, it pulls the tape down and helps the tape get even with the end of the board, compensating for the thickness of this end. But if you butt the tape, it allows the tape to push up, getting closer to the corner to give you a more accurate measurement. Either way it goes, as you use this tape, these rivets are going to get more or less loose, and it's going to change the way you measure each and every time. And also, sometimes after using a tape a little bit, if it's dropped like this one was several times, if this end gets bent, it actually shortens the measurement that you get when you hook it on the end of the board. So my first practical bit of advice is when measuring your material to cut, burn an inch, which what that means is go ahead and hold your tape right at the 1 inch mark and then add 1 inch onto your measurement and go ahead and make a second mark. Now that way you know that the markings that are on the tape are going to match up exactly with the markings that you measure. If you've ever tried to use a tape measure to measure into a corner, you can see it's not really designed to bend right into that corner. It stays off the corner. You end up having to kind of guess about where it's going to be. There's a better way to do this. And that way was what I call butt it, don't bend it. Go ahead and butt it in this corner. Come over to where you can comfortably hold the tape. Find a 10-inch mark, be it 90 or 100 inches. In this case, we're going to mark 90 inches. Very lightly with your pencil. Make sure you have an eraser. Just a little dink will do. Then go ahead and flip your tape around. Butt it in the opposing corner, and this measures 20 5/16. So I know my accurate measurement on this long length is 90 plus 20 5/16, which is 110 5/16. Much better than guessing what that number is in the corner without actually being able to see a nice sharp line. Let's say you have an open bookcase like this that you built, or you have an existing one and you want to add a shelf into it. The best way to get an accurate measurement from inside to inside, well, first, obviously, if you have an existing shelf that's already in it, you could use this as a pattern for a new one. But let's say that all the shelves that are in there are fixed and you need to get that measurement. What you do is you purchase you a wood rule. I always purchase one that has this sliding bar on it. This sliding bar is very important. It has measurements on it. And then what you do is you simply unfold the wood rule until it's to a small enough size that it actually fits inside against the box. Then slide that metal rule out until it butts right against where you want to have that shelf. Pinch this down with your fingers, very gently get it out, making sure that you don't slide that. Then what you do is you simply take the last largest number showing here that you had butted against the left side of the cabinet, which is 25, and you add it to the 3.5 inches that your metal bar slid out to butt the other side. So you know an inside dimension there that's accurate is 28.5 inches. Another excellent use for a wood rule that has a metal guide like this is, let's say we're putting a piece of molding on here. We want it to be a certain distance away from this edge. Simply set this measurement at the distance you want it to be away from the edge. Pinch it so that it doesn't slide, and in tandem with your pencil, very slowly and carefully go ahead and make that mark, transfer that mark from this guide onto that wood. And then when you go back later to put that piece of trim on there, you know that it's going to run a nice even margin down this side. Basically what I'm going to be talking about now as far as measuring is use of material. If you're going to burn an inch like I showed you, you have to keep track of exactly what you're doing when you get that material back to your stand to go ahead and cut it. If the inch monster gets you, everything that you cut that you forget to add an inch to your measurement is going to be 1 inch short. So this being said, what I generally do is when I order up my material, I order up as big a pieces as possible. Let's say baseboard or drywall or whatever. And then what I do is I do the biggest pieces first. That way, if you make a mistake on a bigger piece, let's say the inch monster gets you, or you become dyslexic. And by dyslexic, what I mean is it seems like any two numbers that are right against each other, like 67, 78, 89, somehow or another, when they get back to the cutting table, it ends up being 76, 87, 90, 98. You're lucky if you get bigger because you can always recut it. But let's say you mess up by 10 inches and you cut it short 10 inches. If you use your biggest pieces first, you can always take those bigger pieces and use them in the smaller cut areas, and you still have a second shot at another big piece. So when you're measuring baseboard, let's say you have a room that's, or several areas, don't order your baseboard exactly to the length of, don't order 4 10s and 2 12s and 1 16, and then if you make a mistake, you're shot, or you're adding extra joints in unnecessarily. Get all as big a material as you can get, start with the biggest pieces first, and work yourself toward the smallest ones. Now, these are just a few practical tips of all that's available out there. If there's a better way to measure something, I'm always up for listening. If you got any advice, please post it here. I'd be interested in hearing what you have to say. I'm Bob Schmidt with Home Remodel Workshop. If you appreciated this tip, please subscribe. If not, go back to our home channel. We have many other videos there. Thanks.